Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video I thought I'd talk about market life and what it's like as an artist. So yeah, let's dive in. I'm an artist, creator of many things like ceramic sculpture, paintings, merchandise like my bubbleware, tableware. Well, I'd say the middle of last year I started attending lots of markets as a seller. So in this video, I thought I would talk about my experience of participating in markets as a seller of unique items. I just wanted to make this video as I've experienced a lot from doing markets firsthand. And it's really got me thinking a lot more than what I kind of used to perceive when, visiting and going to markets as a kind of customer, as a kind of person just looking and experiencing. Coming from a person that's now actually doing markets, it's got me thinking a lot more about market life. I've known for a long time that, I'm dyslexic, I'm, not very good at maths, science, all those kind of academic subjects. So it's no surprise then that I'm creating art because it's the only thing I see myself as being really good at, and the only thing I can really do. And this is interesting because after doing so many markets now, from outdoor markets and indoor markets, and meeting so many other sellers there, I realised that I'm not the only dyslexic person there. I've come across other people that are dyslexic, doing markets as well. And by dyslexic, I just mean people who have, learning difficulties. This is usually things like, spelling, maths, those kind of academic subjects. So it's actually interesting, but that's a whole nother video in itself, talking about dyslexia, I guess. But like me, I noticed that other people were doing markets as an alternative lifestyle. And some of this is by choice, because like me, choosing to pursue what you're good at, your creativity, your passion, bringing that into the market space, to let other people get involved in what you're doing. But also some people just doing it out of necessity, and also some people just doing it because they had to leave their previous job. And so the alternative was, going into the market and selling items, whether that's handmade items or any other things. So this is what I've just noticed so far about doing these markets. And this got me thinking, are we people that have got in some way kicked out of society, and essentially the markets have become our new way of living and our newfound home, or our newfound community? I'm not going to name names, but I've had I've done a lot of jobs working for other people throughout my life. And I remember working at one place, and they essentially just kicked me out because I wasn't learning quick enough. But who knows, maybe I wasn't really fit, a good matching fit for that place anyway. What I'm trying to say is, it was from here that I really just took that leap seriously to go into markets as an alternative means to create the lifestyle that I'm looking for, which is, taking my handmade items, putting it out there, and, making a living from it, and, bringing that to the public. So this made me realize, are we the market people? Are we kind of like outcasts? Are we the ones that kind of get kicked out from the mainstream of society? Or are we the ones just pursuing the alternative life, so we're heading to the markets? But then I also thought this is interesting because although we might seem like, or I might seem like a kind of outsider, but then it's the very kind of market people then who kind of set up their own businesses and then hire other people. So it's weird. So you think, oh, like the market people, like I've experienced so far from doing markets as being like, oh, in some way I'm an outsider of society. I'm living this alternative life. But then this alternative life, then for this alternative life, for some people might become the normal, and then they hire other people, and then, so it feels like this kind of like circle, this spiral. It's so that really, from doing markets, that just really got me thinking.
We interrupt this video to plug an ad.
On the topic of markets and bubbleware, aka tableware, I thought I'd show you some of my these are some of my new pieces from the bubbleware tableware range. So I've got this new bowl that I just redesigned recently. And so it's got this like lush green on the inside. And then I just got the matte white glaze on the outside. So I try to create these contrasts. And that's what I'm trying to do with the tableware. I'm trying to bring in the style from my artwork, because I often use contrasting spaces and colours and bring that into my tableware art merch. Check out more of these on my website at martinharmonart.com, and I'll put the link in the description below. Or maybe you'll see me around at your next local market. Who knows? Another thing I notice about doing markets is that I really just enjoy seeing people interact with my work and gaining some kind of like happiness and value from it when they purchase my work. Because I think at the end of the day, I just want to make items that have good quality and that will brighten up someone's day and add value to people's lives. I think importantly, what I realized from doing markets is just not to take it too seriously. I mean, yeah, sure, like money's involved, like, I gotta pay for bills and whatnot. But I realized when I started markets, I said to myself, like, I want to keep this fun, because, and it's a bit like what I'm doing with my art. If I don't keep things fun and fresh, like, how can I keep going with it? And essentially, if I did that, it would turn into another job, So, I want to keep things fun, fresh, and hopefully that can then, by doing that, hopefully that can then pass on, that enthusiasm can pass on to the people who are at the markets, like viewing my work. Yeah, another thing I noticed about markets is just the feedback is just so varied and interesting. Some of it now is getting quite predictable, because I often hear, some people will say,
oh, I'm not looking for stuff, I'm trying to get rid of stuff.
There's usually when people are like at a slightly older age, they'll say that. So I've come to realise that's a normal one to expect. And it's interesting, as a couple, I remember one person said, oh, my mug is, too expensive. He thought, this is my tableware, my bubbleware art merch mug. I think it was too expensive, a handmade item, and I think it should be
£3.
And that's another interesting one, because I think generally some people might look at your mass manufactured items from IKEA and saying, well, I can get this mug for £3. Why should I spend £20 to buy this handmade mug? And so it's interesting sometimes getting like comments about, all these are too expensive. Last weekend, just recently, the market that's just gone recently, I met this guy who was really kind, and he purchased 3 of my espresso mugs from my bubbleware art merch range, and he said it was too cheap. He said, this is too cheap. I can see your value in here. The value is worth more than £9, and he wanted to pay me £10 instead of £9 for each mug, for each espresso mug. And that just made me feel, quite touched, because from my own kind of working life, I've never, I've never experienced in my working life someone who said to me, you know what, Martin, I want to pay you more because because I can see your value. I've never had that. Maybe like occasionally, maybe like a fraction. And this just, it really you guys might have experienced that as well. How many times have you come across someone that said, you know what, Mr. Mrs., I want to pay you more for your work, your services, or your product, or your artworks, or whatever it is, because I can see your value. Because it makes you realize that people value the handmade. They can see something they can value, and they can see that value materialize in front of them. That's another thing that I experienced from, doing markets. And so if you're watching this, kind gentleman, I just want to say thank you, so much. I really appreciate it. And, I really just hope you enjoy your espresso mugs for years to come. So to sum up this video, if you're a person interested in, looking at handmade, finding handmade, artisan items, or anything really. That's the thing when I join these markets. I've, been surrounded by makers of artisan objects like, arts and all things handmade, ceramics, whatnot, as well as producers of, food, meats, vegetables. Yeah, so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I really would recommend, checking out your local markets, because you can really find unique items that you can't find elsewhere in the high street. And generally what I found is that the quality is just really good. And another thing I've noticed is by going to markets as an observer, as someone who's just checking them out, is that you can actually talk to the maker, the producer of that item you're looking at, and you can just talk to them about about the story, about what started you, what inspired you to start creating these items, and and talk to them about the things that they've created. And I think this is the nice thing about markets, because in some ways it's like a community of people, which is interesting. So when you enter the market, it's almost like getting this kind of community. You're getting a vibe, you're getting the atmosphere of the local community, and that's the thing. People also go to markets to socialize as well, not only as a customer, but also as a seller. So this is what makes markets unique and different. So I definitely think going to markets is a unique, memorable experience, and a great place to find gifts and unique items. I'm going to wrap this video up there, guys. I thought I really wanted to make this video just to talk about my own experience from doing these markets as a seller, as a producer of items, and because it really got me seeing an alternative world, and it really made me realize, it gave me a different perspective from just when I used to go to markets. I just used to be the observer, and now I am the producer in the market. And it really got me seeing things from a different perspective. And so I thought I just wanted to, share this experience. But what about you guys? Have you guys ever been to your local market? And what was your experience like? It'd be interesting to see your comments below, whether you've actually, gone to markets to experience, to view, or whether you have gone there as a producer, as a maker, as a seller. It'll be interesting to know your thoughts in there. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.